Hey up everybody and welcome back. Right, well, as I said, we're going to just notice some corrosion in those brand new footrests. Anyway, as I said, we're going to do the clutch and all that sort of stuff and whatever else we can get done. I've been busy out and about in the woods. Although we fortunately didn't have anything from Hurricane Ida, yes, we have had earlier in this year a lot of big thunderstorms, windstorms and stuff, and I've spent a couple of days out with a chainsaw because what always intrigues me is I've got 27 acres of woods out there, and yet when a tree falls down it always manages to land either right in a section or across the trail between the sections on the loop there. So I've managed to get all of them cleaned up, so now I've got to get out and do all the other stuff and the marking and things like that. So actually, speaking of hurricanes, when I was first transferred to the States, I was in the Miami area because I used to look after some officers in the Caribbean, and I left the war zone of northern Saudi Arabia up near the Kuwait border from the first Gulf War. I'd actually been evacuated and then went back. I arrived in Florida just nicely in time for Hurricane Andrew, so I know what it's like to be in a hurricane. Alright, so as I say, we're going to get stuck in. Oh, for those of you who like my t-shirts, here's the one I got for my birthday this year. Look. You can't scare me, I have a daughter. And of course it's not 100% accurate because obviously she scares me. But apart from that, things are good. Alright, so let's do all the drive side and see what else I can get done in the time I managed to put into the workshop this week. Right then, we'll start with the sprocket. Now, as I mentioned, the smaller sprocket doesn't have the big boss. It would be far too expensive to try and make these to match up, so they just send you a spacing piece. So the spacing piece is going to go in the oil seal, which I've already fitted. So we'll put some oil in there. Oil that as well. It's getting all very messy. That goes in. Then that goes on. Oh, yeah, there it is. I knew I had everything together. Then we have lock washer, and we have the nut. I can't remember, did I have to use a chisel to get this off because I didn't have a big enough socket? Was it bigger than the... No, I do have one. Alright, get our chain wrench out. Now let's think. We are going to do this that way, so we want that to lock up. That way, and as I've mentioned before, this, I mean, you want this on tight, but once it's locked on it's fine because the sprocket isn't trying to pull off this way. All the force is longitudinal, not transverse. So get that nice and tight like that. Back out. And then we'll Not easy to get at this one, is it? Let me get a thinner screwdriver. Well, we try it again. Might go into there, I think. Come on. There we go. Alright, that will hold that on there. Now we can put our chain back on. Yes, it's a lot easier to do it now before we put the cover on. Although with that cutaway we did on the top, it's a lot easier to get at than normal. Okay. You can't see this, I'm just threading the chain through over the chain tensioner to put it out of the way. Right, we can deal with that later. So the next thing is this here, for which we have a gasket and I haven't put the oil seal in yet, so let me do that. Now I put the gasket on and greased it and everything because you don't need to see me do that again. Put the oil seal on, oiled it. Where's the holes? Okay. Tell you what, I've noticed these all these new oil seals I bought for this job are really tight. I mean, I know they're supposed to be tight, but they've been difficult to get in. There we go. Okay. Let me screw these 6 screws in. Now I've put the oil seal in and the distance piece, and we'll make a couple of comments on this, and I imagine I'll get some comments. First thing, the distance piece. Neither the 500 nor the 650 Triumph manual mention anything either about this distance piece or the one on the other side, because they've got a chamfered side to them. The BSA manual tells you to put this in with the chamfer to the outside, and looking at the parts box, the chamfer is quite plain. You see the one on that side, you can see it in the diagram, so you know it's going to the outside, and what you see of this is a plain back, no chamfer showing. So why Triumph don't tell you how to put it in, I don't know. But as I say, that's the way it looks to be in the parts book, the Triumph parts book, and that's the way that it tells you to put it in the BSA. So that's them. The other thing is this oil seal. Now, I've had this discussion with people before about which way this oil seal should go. And a lot of people have told me, oh, it goes with the open side facing here. I don't see the point in that. The pressure where you could lose oil is in the crankcase. It's not in here. And if you did put it in the other way, the crankcase would keep blowing oil into the chain case. Don't forget, a lot of bikes, the engine oil and the chain case oil are different grades. I mean, not enough to make catastrophe or anything. But the thing is, if you were just blowing oil mist through here all the time, slowly, this would fill up. And yet there's no pressure going in there. And on most of the engines, the chain case has got a breather of some kind. So you don't get a build-up of pressure. So anyway, I've always put them in that way. I've never had any problem. So be interesting to see what people say. But again, I just work on the principle that I've put them in that way before and never had any problems. So they're in, no problem there. So the next thing is to hang on. Right, now you can see. So the next thing is to build up the clutch, because the clutch and the sprocket have got to go on together because it's an endless chain. Now, with the Triumph, the primary chain tensioner is in the outer cover. The adjuster goes up that way, which is going to be really difficult with this on, actually, now I'm thinking about it. So there's a nice boss there. I wonder if I can modify it to be adjusted in the centre there. There's the pivot point for it. Wonder if I have an Enfield one that would fit that. Anyway, what I'm wanting to tell you is that the clutch centre here has got to go in there, and we've got, where are they? Where are they? Somewhere around here. Ah, there they are. We have a little bag of brand new rollers to go in here. There's either 20 or 25, I can't remember which. It's either 20 in this and 25 in the BSA, or the other way around. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you all this is because with that on there and a smaller sprocket on there, the primary chain, well, let me put the chain on. Right. I put that about centered because we've got a much smaller sprocket there. See that? So we're going to have to shorten this chain. Now when you put the little sprocket on the BSA, it tells you to take 2 links out. I think we're going to have to take more than that. But anyway, I'll split the chain because you can get master links for these, and actually I've always sort of got them from the bike dealerships, but I'd forgotten this time, so I just checked, and this is a standard ISO chain. So you can actually, if you just go to a motor factor type place or any body that sells chains, you should be able to get the split links. So I'm going to the chain splitter doesn't work very well on these. I'm just going to grind the end off and take this apart, and then we'll see roughly how we need it to be shortened, okay? Right, well, now I am totally confused. I've got to go back and look at previous videos. I started to put the clutch center together, put new thrust washer on it, put the new rollers in, go to put the clutch cage on, which should be, of course, close fit on those. See the big gap? That should fit right on those rollers. That's what they're there for this to be able to run on that. I'm going to go back and look, hopefully, the video when I dismantled it. I've just checked the clutch plates. I thought, oh God, was this all apart and it's the wrong clutch drum, but it's the right one for the clutch plates. Alright, let me do some research. Well, the mystery deepens. Just looked at the video where I tear it apart, and you can see quite clearly that there's a centerpiece in here, probably a hardened ring that's shrunk in for the bearings to run on. So, 2 questions. How the hell could it come out? And secondly, where has it gone? Because I've just searched from one end of the workshop to the other, and there's no sign of it. God, this is odd. Okay, I might have to rejig our plans here and move on to putting the barrels and stuff on, but that could be a real delay for me. Anyway, let me keep looking. Ta-da! I did my best Sherlock Holmes impression and thought to myself, okay, where could it possibly have come out? What have I done that might have caused it to come out? And I suddenly thought, is it when I gripped it in the vise to do the milling? So I went and looked all over the vise, and down the back of the vise table, down the back of the mill table, there it was. Still don't see how it popped out, and we're going to see how tight it is to get it back in. But anyway, there it is. So let me look at this. Right, well, I pressed it back in. Don't see how it came out. I've also, on both sides, given it 4 little pops so that it shouldn't move. So now, I just measured this. There should be about 1.5 thou space all the way around. Come on. Man, I've never had one be this awkward. I mean, it's a, sort of a slip fit, but... And I've just measured it. As I say, I wanted to make sure it was still round and everything. Oh, this is driving me to distraction. Do you know what? I spent 2 days on this bottom end and I thought I'd get it done in half a day. Why won't that go on there? Oh, let me beaver on with this. Right, well, I've got it together. I actually took all the rollers out. I measured every single roller and they were all measuring 249.5, so they were under the 250. I measured the inner diameter of that, the outer diameter of that. There should have been 3 thou clearance. So what I did was, instead of trying to put it on like that, I put this down. I didn't film it because if it didn't work I didn't want to have to sort of... And I put them in one at a time with a pair of needle nose pliers. And there we go. Alright. So that's that in. Okay. Now what we need to do is put this part on. You've got to hold the 3 bolts or else they'll fall out. So you get the square bits right. I know I'm completely in the way here, aren't I? See ya. There we go. Now you should be able to see. And we get our splines lined up. Put it together. See if they fall down there. I'm using the pliers because I daren't let go of these to go and find a hammer. Alright. Now then, where's my little hammer? There it is. Well, actually I've just been and had lunch, and I was thinking about this while I had lunch, and I've decided I am definitely never ever ever going to work on another Triumph. I don't know whether they just don't like me, but they drive me to distraction. Alright, let's have a look at this chain length. So I've just put the sprocket and the clutch on loose. I didn't want to press it onto the taper here. And what we're going to do now, that on, more. And there you can see oh, hang on, let me get a couple of bits of wire. Right, let's see if we can do this a little more easily now. So it's going to have to be that one there. Well, I think we can take it off there. No. Yes. No. Take it off there. Right. And that's the inside part. This is the inside part here, so we'll have one link. Let me show you that. So there's the master link, you see how long it is, and it comes with the usual end plate. I don't know if you can see, there's actually two plates in, because one goes in the centre. So yeah, I think that will work. Yes. All right. Take that one off there. That gets me the centre part again. We've got the centre part there. I think we're all right. Let me do that. So here you can see the master link a bit closer, and I don't know if you can see it on the chain, but the centre link is slightly thicker than the two outside ones, and when you look at this, again I don't know how well it will show, that is thicker than that. So that is going to go in there. This is going to be difficult to do and film, video, whatever the correct term should be. See what we'll do, look. We'll put that in there like that. I know my hand's getting in the way, sorry, but this is In there like that. That goes on like that. Goes on there. And then we're going to put our split link on. Right, now I want this split link to be on the outside. And the chain is going to go around that way. So as usual, it's our little fish swimming in that direction. So there we go, our hopefully correct length chain. Now let me move you back and we'll try it, and then we'll get ourselves ready to actually put it on. Can you hear the rain on the roof? That's why I am in here workshopping and not out in the woods. Yes! I don't think we could have got that much better than that. I do actually have a half link. I've got a half link as well, but I think that's... Right, the battery conked out then, and what I was saying, I think I got most of my words out, was I also have bought a half link, just in case. But I think that's going to be good. Right, let's take this off here. And I tell you what, I am really pleased to be getting this on. Gearbox and transmissions proved to be a complete pain. Right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put that in. I've got a little rubber doodad on the end because I didn't have the original one. It's a little bit tight, that. So I'm going to cut across in the end of it so we can put wires through. So let me find the spanner to fit this, and then we'll do that. Now we come to a slightly fiddly bit. Put the key in. So we've got to get the clutch centre to go onto the key, and we've got to get the sprocket to go onto the splines. So the way to do this is to line that up and then just hold the clutch centre, because then you can turn that like that and you're not turning where the key is. So that's there. See the key. Right, they both seem to be on. Let's turn in that. Let me just check, because keys love to jump out the back. No, keys on there. Of course, the key really is just to sort of set it on, because it's actually the taper that's holding it. Tapers have always amazed me, the grip they have. Alright, so the last thing to check, it says to check it before you put the chain on, but the way I normally do this is just to check that the two sprockets are right. So we'll that like that. Wait a minute. Let me get this the right way around so I can get a measurement. And that is measuring, get nice and straight there, 5/8. This on here. And that's measuring 5/8 as well. Very good. Right, let's get some nuts. Okay, I'm going to just pop these on. I'm not going to tighten it up all the way because I want to put the clutch holding tool in and then go around the other side and tighten up the nut on the other end of the main shaft. So we'll just put that on so it doesn't fall off. Oh, and by the way, I just noticed that when I looked at the last bit of video, because I virtually edit as I go along, that I didn't show you that I'd put in the little screw-in tube that the wires go through with a rubber piece over, which hopefully we can get the wires through. Okay, so the next thing is that goes in there. Like this. And let me go around the other side. I'll just pop that nut tight and then we'll come around here and tighten this up. We'll torque this one up. Tighten the other side up. So now there's this one. The book says 50 pounds, foot-pounds, which is actually, I think, yeah, the same as the BSA. So there we go. No worry there. So that's that. Now I'll put this in, which is the clutch push rod, before I forget. Go. We'll do the other side when we put that outer cover back on and put the clutch cable on. Right, I'm not going to put the plates in until I've done this, and then I can use the clutch tool to hold for tightening this nut up. Although actually that's the original nut, it's the one that comes with the electronic ignition. So I guess we can look at the electronic ignition now. Or, I'll tell you what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to sort out a chain tensioner first. It'll be easier to work on it without all that stuff on there. So, that'll be alright. Right, let me get the chain tensioner bits. Now the drive chain tensioner, right that time, is of course a little bit different. So as I mentioned, that's the pivot point. But also, you see it's got a slot in it. It's a slipper tensioner. This rod here, which is threaded at this end, has a little, I don't know if you can see them in there, but it's flattened. That goes on there. That goes on. Come on. That shouldn't be as tight as that. There seems to be anything inside there. There it goes. That goes on there. The flat piece of this rod goes into that, so that locks it, stops it from turning. Now when you tighten this, it works like a bow. You pull the ends together so this bows up in the middle, tensions it. That is the idea. Now this part of it is in the outer chain case. So you get a screwdriver up there to this end to tighten that up, and then there's a plug goes into the chain case. Now, I don't reckon much to that at all. Let's see what happens here. Now, as I say, there's a very nice boss here, which I think might have been for a drain plug, but they're not now bothering with. Right, you can see that going up. You see, to me this is far too long. It's literally jamming the chain. Of course that might be because, now there's the thing, see, with this sprocket the chain is a lot higher up here. This chain would have been down here. So you know what, I don't know as this is going to work at all. Right, let's look at some chain tensioners. While my mind is working on chain tensioners, I thought I'd show you this. Remember when I took this apart, how wobbly it was? Well, before I took it off, and it was mentioned that there was the thrust washer was missing. Now, nothing, no play at all. Very good. Alright, I'm looking at BSA ones and all sorts of things. I thought I had a Royal Enfield one, but I can't find it. Let me continue thinking. Right, chain tension. Suss this out. We're going to use a modified BSA one. Now, I had to take that pin out. That pin just would not come out. When I look, parts book, it doesn't look as if it's threaded. I think it's a pressed in fit. I got it to turn, but that was the best I could do. So I just ground it off, ground it flat. If ever we need to get it out, we can drill it, tap it, put a bolt in and get it out. And I was a little worried that it might go all the way through. So didn't want to have a hole there anyway. Okay, so what are we going to do? Well, what I've done is I've taken a BSA one, because don't forget the BSA one is mounted on the alternator studs. So it's a Lucas alternator, so the studs here are the same distribution and distance apart. The only thing was that this is going higher than the BSA one does, so this is only riveted on, so I took it off. This is my little experimental piece to see how far out I needed to have it spaced. Right, so that goes in there like thus. What will be is various spaces on this. Okay, so that'll pivot on there. I've been checking the length against the original ones. We're not sticking out anymore. So actually it'll only just do it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to cut this and weld it on there. And I'm going to make, instead of having these, I'm going to leave one of those up there sort of so that I know how they stick out. I'm going to make two of these. I've already made one. What I did was, as I say, the thread in there is UNC, the thread on the end is UNF. So I took a long UNF bolt, it's stainless actually, cut the end off so it was the right length and threaded that to UNC. So that is going to screw in there like so. Then there's going to be a spacer, and then that will be welded on there. Another spacer, same as there, another spacer. There's actually a spacer going to go on the top. Then when the mounting plate for the ignition goes on, it all gets clamped up and held there. how about that then? So what I'm going to do first of all, should I weld it over here? No, I can mark it and tack it over there and see that it works. So I'll make another one of these studs. I'll measure how much I've got there for spacer. Make up a spacer for here. Then we'll try it on with it tacked. If everything's right, weld it up and finished. Then once we put that on, we can put the electronic ignition on. Hang on a second. Bzzzt. We can put the electronic ignition on. Then I'll have the end nut on, which I think actually they do use the original nut. They don't supply one. Put the clutch plates in. Put the clutch cable on. We're done. Bottom end is completely completed. Alright, so let me go and make another stud and a couple of spacers. Now then, let's see what we've got going here. I've made up 2 spacers. This spacer I've made slightly smaller outer diameter than it could be because we're pretty close to the chain. So I've welded that on there as well. We'll just stick a nut on there to take up a little bit of space. What I'm going to do is screw these 2 out, put the 3 proper ones in, and then put the rotor and the stator on and see what we have. So that would go up there, get pinched on that one. We're not touching anything. Nope. That will work. So as I say, now I have to do some measurements to find out what the spaces are. Hold on a second. Now, there's one of the spacers that's provided, but if I put that on there, there's nothing. There's, you know, because they're supposedly be able to put a plate on. So I don't know if they weren't expecting to have these sort of pillar type bolts, or just as like the BSA does, where there's just studs like I've made here and you slide them on. But anyway, we'll see. So as I say, I'm going to take these 2 out, put the originals back in, and then we'll see about the actual stator plate. I'll put the original mounting studs back in, put the rotor on. The rotor's actually going to go further in than that, but when that's on there, look, see, this piece here should be centered on the rotor. So that's got to go in, oh, half an inch. So can't use the original studs at all. So let me take the original ones out. We'll put these 2 back in and see where we should be. Right, now I'm going to have to do a bit more modding, because although that will go in a lot further there, this is up against that. As you can see, it still needs to go in 1/4 of an inch. But fortunately, as you can see, this is a bit long, so I'm going to go and cut a piece off that. Right, well, I've got that bolted up tight there, and that is perfect. There's about 1/16 of an inch on either side, so that's perfectly centered. And as you can see, we don't need spacers, we actually need those shortening, because that's got a nut underneath it to so we'll put some little spacing pieces on just to bring it out here, so it's easy to get a spanner on them. And I've got one to put in there, obviously. I'll measure that now, and in fact I'll make that. So there it is, mounted up, all the necessary spacers. It took me ages to get this level, but it is exactly level now. Everything's done. Because I've made these stainless ones the same length as the originals, as I say, it turns out that if there'd been studs, I guess, I don't know, but anyway, the spacers they sent me were just nice. I'll put some actually I'll put some lock washers under there before I finish off. So that's all ready. So now I can time the ignition, we can tighten that nut up and put the clutch in. So the first thing we're going to do is set the crank position. I've got one of these little timing tools, but you can do it with a rod. So basically, take the engine back, and then you're coming up, and it drops in, right? And that is whatever it is, 38 degrees before top dead center. So now we come down to the unit. Right, see we've got this set in the middle of its slot so we can move it around. There's the little red mark that they very nicely give us. There's the mark on that. So all I've got to do now is tighten this up. Now, as you know, I've got a little thing to hold this, so let me get it. Right, well, I just changed the battery on that, and the other one I had was flat as well. Okay, the little dude I had is for PVL rotors, because I forgot this one has actually got flats on it. So we're going to put a bit of blue Loctite on this nut. If I suddenly disappear, you know what's happened. I can't believe I didn't put that other one in the charger. Right. Ah. Had it going the wrong way, of course. And it's the end of the day, and this has been a really annoying set of jobs. Right, now I think somebody told me this was supposed to be 40 thou, so I'm going to set it to that. What am I talking about? 40 thou? 40 foot-pounds. Hang on. Right, well, it rained yesterday evening pretty heavily, so the woods are squishy and drippy, so I've come in the workshop today. So we'll get stuck in and put these in. Definitely get all this bottom end finished off. This is going to be a pretty full cage, but 6 sets of plates came out. The parts book says 6 sets of plates there. Right, then you're going to stay there. Hang on. Let's fit 3 of these together. Oh, get in there. Brother, come on. Okay. That. There. Nice new springs. And of course these are the type that we have to compress to get this to start. Not too far by the looks of it. Some of these are buggers to do. Yes, got it. Big screwdriver, I always find, is the answer. One you can really get a grip of and put plenty of pressure on. Right, now after this we'll go around the other side and fight another spring. We've got to put the kickstart spring on, and it's like the C15, it's that type with the plate with flats on it. Now we'll screw these down to having one coil showing. And then when we can turn the engine over, well, when we've got the kickstart on so we can spin the clutch, we'll finally tighten these so that the clutch is, this plate is lifting evenly. Alright, that's that side done. Let me show you something around this side. Now, I'm a bit dubious to see the wires there. They're clear of this. I could put a little fastener there, I guess. I wish I had realised this before. I would have welded a piece onto that spacer to hold it right back there. But what I'm thinking of, because looking down here, the centre of the hole for this plug, where my finger is, you can just see it, well, you can see my finger coming down, is there. It's clear of the chain, a long way clear, and it holds the wire over. So what I'm thinking of doing is getting the plug, and in the centre of it I'm going to weld like a dipstick, so that when I screw that in, because there's very little pressure here, it's just going to hold that wire to the side there. But that is something we can do at our leisure. Right? So let's get round the other side. Well, you just missed me cursing and screaming there, because I was putting this spring on and I wound it up against the stop and I couldn't make it go back, and I thought, damn, it's stuck. And then I thought, no, you dipstick, now you've got the clutch and everything on, it's harder to turn. So I put the kickstart lever on, and sure enough it turned fine. Can you hear it? It's starting to rain, so I guess I'm going to be in the workshop all day today. Right, so kickstart's pulled out. There's a spacing piece that goes on, which I wouldn't have known about if I hadn't looked in the parts book when I was ordering bits, because I don't think that piece was on when I took it apart. Might be wrong, but anyway, let's see if we can line this around. It's always just, see, that's in the way now. This tight. See, there's only just, I think I'll make it stick out a bit now. Oh, well, I don't know. Oh, there's plenty there. Okay, try again. This is probably one of those instances where when I've thought this on, I'll either think of a better way to do it, or I'll get a comment that says, oh no, what you need to do is See, the spring makes it get sort of out of being completely flat. It's almost on, but I don't see the spring in the way anywhere. But it did seem to go further on, didn't it, before? No, I think that's it. Okay. Let's get the clutch cable and the other bits and pieces for this. We have an oil seal and everything, of course. And so it goes on. Whoops, there's the clutch operating mechanism. There's the doodad that screws in there. They've sent me a clutch cable for 650, I think, because I've just looked in the 650 parts book and this is just a little screw-in piece. So that probably goes into that. So we come to a bleeding standstill again. I'm getting really annoyed with this. Either I keep ordering things out of the 650 parts book, which I very much doubt, or see, that doesn't even want to screw in there. Wait a minute, I haven't put the that isn't the cable one for the other side, is it? I've swapped them over. Hang on, let me look into this. Right, well, I just checked in the parts books and that's definitely a 650 cable. The only number on the Venhill packaging was the Venhill number, so I'll search for that later on. But I also looked back at the videos to see me taking this off the engine, and that's definitely the right piece. And I also noticed it sticks up like that. I can't get that to screw in any further. Seems to be half BSF thread. So I don't know what that is. So I might have to make up a cable because I've got a couple with the right ends. Plus the one they sent me is incredibly long, so probably the being in the different frame and everything and handlebars, I couldn't use a standard clutch cable anyway. So what I might end up doing, because they've got the right ball end thing to go in that there. Oh God, I can't get that out of there now. Hold on a second. Got the right ball ended thing to go in there. So let me get the bits and pieces, because you can change the clutch cable obviously without having to take all this off. So let me get the bits and pieces, the seals and everything for the kickstart shaft, and we'll at least put this on, and guess that'll be it for this week. Right, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but if you look in the kickstart hole, you'll see that just down in there there's a groove. And that's for this little seal to go in, I presume. There's also got a parts book, and I bought one, a little cover thing that goes in there. But it's considerably larger than the hole. So we'll look into that. Mystery solved, and I have to apologise to Triumph, because I was thinking, why on earth put this stupid seal in that you've got to fiddle in with a bloody sort of dental pick? And then it struck me that this thing, there's already one in there, so that goes in that way and holds that seal in. So there's another spare Triumph 500 part we've got. Alright, let's put this cover on. Alright, see if we can get this on. I've oiled the seal. I've put the gear change lever on so that I can wiggle this to get it onto the actual cam plate. Come on now. There we go. And as I say, there we go. Now there should be nice domed nuts on here, and I don't have any 5/16 domed nuts, and I don't think there was any on when I took it apart, so we will get some for that. Because they're 5/16 fine, so they're easy enough to get. Right, and there are two different sizes here. Where's the grease? Grease, 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 grease. Oh, God, there it is. So let's see. Which goes where? Let's see, they're one's 2 3/8, one's 2 5/8, so they're 1/4 inch difference. Let's see what we've got. Now, of course, I should have tried with the longer one first, because the shorter one will go in the longer one's mounting point hole, but not the other way around, of course. So let's try that down there. That seems long there. Oh, it's tightened up. So, as I say, this is going to be it, because this rainy weather has stopping me getting out to mark sections and things, although actually I keep all the markers up because I ride the sections all year. But there's ribbon, the deer break down the ribbon and stuff like that. And as I've mentioned before, if I don't put lots of ribbon on, I would say that should be a long one in there. If I don't put lots of ribbon on, I'm afraid the riders here just, they'll go out in the middle of a field to miss doing a turn. It's really is annoying. So I use lots of ribbon to keep them right. No. Unfortunately, I've got the page in the parts book that shows them, but I don't have with me the page in the parts book that lists the lengths, where I got the lengths from to order them. Now we're looking good. They all had about as much to thread in, so I must have made 2 longer ones at the back, 2 shorter ones at the front. Alright, now I will beaver on and make a clutch cable and stuff, so next week a couple of minor things to finish off this bottom end, then we'll do the top end. So until then, as usual, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.